Welcome to Meta Yeda with your host, Dr. ElHanan Gazit, your ultimate destination for leaders and creators. Here, we share some of the best metaverse, gaming, and digital innovation news, stories, and insights. Think fast, level up smart. Game on.
Hey everyone, welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be talking about something that I know a lot of you parents and educators are thinking about a lot these days.
Yeah.
You know, how do kids and gaming and AI all fit together? Like, in this world that's changing so fast, it's like almost hard to keep up with.
Yeah, it really is changing quickly.
It is. And we've got some really fascinating research today.
Yeah, we do.
And some cool insights from Dr. ElHanan Gazit.
Mm-hmm.
And he is an expert who's been looking at this whole thing from both an educational side and like the tech side of things.
Yeah.
And he's actually been working with both English and Hebrew sources.
That's right.
Which is really interesting. So one of the things that I think is most interesting is that Dr. Gazit says that gameful mindset times AI equals business and personal growth.
Yeah. It sounds like something out of like Star Wars or something.
It really does.
But it's so relevant to how we think about raising kids now and how we're preparing them for the future.
You know, I have to admit, when I first saw that quote, like my brain kind of did like a backflip.
Oh, yeah.
Because most of us, we grew up being told that video games were like a distraction.
Right.
Maybe even a waste of time.
Right.
And so to see it presented this way was just so different.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that Dr. Gazit actually started looking into all of this stuff by watching his own kids play video games.
Interesting.
And he started to notice some pretty amazing things.
Like what?
He saw that they weren't just passively consuming entertainment. They were actually problem solving and working together with their friends online.
Wow.
And some of them were even picking up new languages through the games that they played.
Get out.
It's true.
Through the games.
Wow.
That's wild.
These are all these skills that went way beyond just like pushing buttons on a controller.
So it's like they were learning through play.
Exactly.
Which is something that educators have been trying to figure out forever. But I think, you know, a lot of us still kind of have that reaction of like being careful about too much screen time.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's understandable.
It is.
But you know what's so interesting about Dr. Gazit's work is that he's not saying kids should just play games all the time.
Right.
He's digging into like what makes games so engaging.
I see. Yeah.
And then he's like, well, how can we use these same principles to make really powerful learning experiences in other parts of life?
Interesting. So it's not like good or bad.
Yeah.
He's going deeper.
Right.
He's trying to understand why they work.
Exactly.
I like that. And he calls this the gameful mindset, which sounds really cool.
It does. It's like a superpower or something.
It really does.
Yeah.
So like, how does that work?
Think about it. When you play a game, you're always running into challenges, but you also feel like you have control.
Okay. Yeah.
You can experiment, and if you fail, you try again.
Yeah. You get another life.
Right. And there's always like a clear goal in mind.
Okay. Yeah. I see that.
And Dr. Gazit is saying that we can use the same approach for personal and professional growth.
Interesting.
Especially as AI gets more and more advanced.
Okay, now that's really interesting to me because you hear all this stuff about AI taking our jobs and like changing everything, which can be kind of scary.
Right.
Is he saying that if you think like a gamer, you can actually do better in that kind of world?
He is, and he uses the gaming industry as an example.
Okay.
This isn't just some small hobby anymore.
Right.
Newzoo, which is this market research firm, they say there's almost 3 billion gamers in the world.
Wow.
That's bigger than the film and music industries combined.
That's crazy.
It is. So what is it about games that's making them so popular?
Yeah. What is it?
Well, Dr. Gazit breaks it down into a few things. One is empowerment. So players feel in control of what happens to them in the game.
Okay.
They make choices that like actually affect the game.
Yeah.
Then there's connectedness. So that's the social part of gaming. It's not just about people sitting alone in their rooms anymore.
Yeah.
It's about communities and working together and sharing experiences.
So that kind of changes that stereotype of gamers being loners.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because I know a lot of parents are worried about their kids being like stuck to screens.
Yeah.
and missing out on real life.
Right, and that's a valid concern.
Yeah.
But Dr. Gazit says that games can actually help kids connect with others.
Okay.
Especially when they have to work together as a team and talk to each other.
So it's all about balance.
Right.
Finding that balance between the virtual and the real world.
Yeah. So how does all of this tie back to his quote about the gameful mindset and AI leading to growth?
Right.
We talked about the games. Where does the AI come in? That's where it gets really interesting. So Dr. Gazit thinks that the skills you get from playing games, like being creative with problem solving and dealing with things that you didn't expect, those are actually the same skills that you need to be successful in a world that is run by AI.
Oh, wow. So it's almost like gamers are already learning how to think in a way that will be really important in the future.
Yeah, exactly. AI is changing everything already.
Yeah.
How we work, learn, and make decisions, it's all changing. And in the future, we're probably going to be working directly with AI systems, figuring out how to fix them.
Right.
And we'll have to constantly be learning new things because technology never stops changing.
Yeah, that's true.
And who's already doing that every day?
Gamers.
Gamers.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can kind of see how that works. But it still feels kind of abstract. Like, how do we actually use this gameful mindset in real life? Like, how do we make it something we can actually use? Especially as parents who are trying to raise kids in this crazy new world. Well, Dr. Gazit actually gives some really specific ideas based on his research.
Yeah.
One of the biggest ones is feedback loops. So in games, you're always getting feedback on what you do. Did you win? Did you lose? How did you do? And that helps you learn.
Yeah, makes sense.
He's encouraging us to look for that same kind of feedback in real life, both for ourselves and for our kids.
So it's all about learning from your mistakes and then trying again in a different way.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't usually like getting feedback in the real world, but it's everywhere in games. It's just part of how you play.
That's true. But how do we make that relevant to kids? Like, they're not really thinking about life strategies.
Well, one way is to change how we talk about challenges.
Okay.
When you play a game, you don't try to avoid the hard parts, right? You actually want to face them because you know that they will help you get better at the game.
Okay, yeah.
Dr. Gazit is saying that we should try to think the same way in real life. See challenges as a way to grow instead of something that stops us.
I love that. So instead of saying something's too hard, we can encourage our kids to see it as a level they have to beat.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in a game.
And that connects to another thing that's important in games. Clear goals.
Yeah. Okay.
Games take something really big and complicated and break it down into smaller, more manageable steps.
Right.
And that gives players a feeling of progress and purpose.
Right, because you're making progress toward that ultimate goal.
Yeah, and we can do the same thing as parents and teachers. We can help kids set goals, break those goals down into smaller steps, and then celebrate with them when they reach each step along the way.
That makes so much sense. So we're kind of trying to make things feel more like a game.
Yeah.
And I can definitely see how that would be motivating, especially for younger kids.
Absolutely. And that's where Dr. Gazit's idea of Gaming Generation Plus comes in. He believes that this generation of kids who have grown up with digital worlds are actually developing a whole new set of skills that will be really important in the age of AI.
Okay, so what kind of skills were we talking about here?
We're talking about creativity, problem solving, and the ability to deal with things that are uncertain.
Wow, okay.
Making decisions when you're under pressure, and even leadership skills. Games actually help kids develop all of those.
So it's not just about knowing how to use technology.
Right.
It's also about those other skills that are becoming so valuable.
Exactly, like teamwork and communication. And that's where the plus in Gaming Generation Plus comes in. Dr. Gazit believes that if we help kids develop those skills, then they'll be ready for a future with AI.
That's awesome.
And they can actually help shape that future in positive ways.
Okay, this is really exciting stuff. But I know some parents are probably listening and thinking about the downsides of gaming.
Right.
Like addiction or spending too much time in front of a screen. All those things we hear about. What about that?
Those are definitely things to think about, and Dr. Gazit doesn't ignore them. He actually gives some good advice. Based on his research, he talks about the importance of balance, just like with anything else.
Right.
It's about making sure that gaming doesn't take over a kid's life. So they're not ignoring their responsibilities or spending all their time alone.
Right. So finding that sweet spot where gaming is a good thing, but doesn't become too much.
Right. And parents need to be involved, especially with younger kids. Dr. Gazit suggests setting limits on screen time, encouraging kids to do other activities, and talking to them openly and honestly about how to have healthy gaming habits.
I think that's so important, making sure it's not all about video games.
Yeah.
It's about taking those ideas from the gameful mindset and using them in all parts of life.
Absolutely. It's about encouraging a love of learning, helping them be curious and want to try new things, and to not be afraid to take risks. It's about giving them the tools and the mindset to face whatever challenges they might encounter in this world.
I think that's such an important message for parents and teachers.
Yeah.
It's not about trying to protect our kids from challenges.
Right.
It's about giving them the power to overcome them. It's about helping them develop that strength to bounce back, to be flexible and creative, to be good at solving problems. They'll need all those things to succeed, not just with AI, but in life.
And that's what makes this whole idea of like a gameful mindset so powerful. It's not just about playing games, it's like a whole way of approaching life.
Yeah, like being curious and, like not giving up easily.
Yeah.
And wanting to see those challenges as chances to grow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just changing your mindset like that can be so powerful, not just for kids, but for us too, like as adults.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's like remembering how to be playful again.
Right.
And to see the possibilities, we kind of lose that as we get older.
We get so serious.
I know. And Dr. Gazit says that this whole gameful mindset thing is especially important now with all this AI stuff happening.
Yeah, he thinks this generation that's growing up with AI all around them, like in their games and everything, they're actually the ones who are best equipped to deal with all of this.
So it's not about being scared of AI.
Yeah.
It's about understanding it.
Yeah.
And figuring out how to work with it.
Exactly.
And maybe even help shape how it's developed and how we use it.
Right. And that's where that plus part of Gaming Generation Plus really comes in.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about that.
It's about using those skills that gamers already have, like problem solving and being able to adapt to new situations, and then using those skills to deal with real world problems that come with AI.
So it's like making sure we're using AI for good, like for progress and to solve problems that can help everyone.
Yeah. And who better to do that than the people who grew up understanding technology? Yeah. Like it's second nature to them.
Right. And that's why it's so important for us as parents and educators to encourage these skills, to help kids develop that kind of mindset.
Yep.
And it's not about making every kid a programmer or anything.
Right.
It's about helping them love learning and wanting to try new things.
Yeah.
And believing that they can actually make a difference in the world.
Exactly. Like they can create their own future instead of just letting it happen to them.
Yeah.
And Dr. Gazit's work really gives us a way to do that.
It does. He goes really deep into how the gameful mindset works, and he gives some really practical tips and examples of how to use it in real life.
Yeah, in all parts of life, like with education and parenting and even just personal growth.
I have to say, I'm feeling really inspired by all of this.
Me too.
I'm seeing gaming in a whole new way now. It's not just entertainment anymore. It's like this powerful tool for learning and developing skills that are essential for the future.
And for helping us create a future where AI and humans can work together.
Yeah. And I think that's such a great message for everyone. It's not about being afraid of what's coming. It's about getting ready for it. And it's not about trying to control our kids' lives. It's about giving them the tools they need to be successful and happy.
Exactly. And Dr. Gazit's book, Gameful Mindset, Key to Success in the Age of Artificial Intelligence, is a really great resource for all of this.
It is. It's full of practical advice and inspiring stories that will give you hope and make you feel like you can do anything.
It's a must-read for anyone who's raising kids, teaching kids, or just trying to figure out how to navigate this crazy world of technology.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a little challenge.
Okay.
Think about how you can bring some of that gameful mindset into your own life.
Yeah.
What little changes can you make to approach those challenges with more curiosity and that never give up attitude?
And remember that learning is a lifelong adventure.
It is.
And it's okay to have fun along the way.
Exactly. It doesn't always have to be so serious. Try new things. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. And most importantly, have fun.
Yes. Because that's what life's all about, right?
It is. Learning, growing, and playing the game the best we can. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It was fun.
It was. And we'll see you next time.
Think fast, level up smart. Game on.